And it started that time.
Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Is your soul all spotless? Is it clean as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed? Are you washed? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you clean and spotless? Are you pure like the snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Have you laid down your burdens? Have you found the rest? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? I've laid down my troubles, found peace and rest. I'm washed in the blood of the Lamb. I am washed. I am washed. I am washed in the blood of the Lamb. I am clean and spotless. I am pure like the snow. I am washed in the blood of the Lamb. Have you learned to love your neighbors, all colors, creeds, and kinds? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? I've learned to love my people, all colors, creeds, and kinds. I'm washed in the blood of the Lamb. I am washed. I am washed. I am washed in the blood of the Lamb. I am clean and spotless. I am pure like the snow. I am washed in the blood of the Lamb.
You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, everyone. It is This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs. He's Ben. It's This Week in Clown World. Everybody shout hooray. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. You can spend your times with a lot of podcasts out there, but you choose to spend your time with us, and for that, we thank you. We're glad you're here. How are you doing tonight, Ben?
Well, I'm doing well, but it won't let me be me. It's showing me as you, so I don't want to confuse our listeners. Let's try swapping this around here.
It's okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's bizarro world tonight. Oh, now you're Ben again. Okay.
Yeah, but you can't be Hobbs. You're just the unknown stranger
I am
broadcasting from a number station.
And yes, a number station. Yeah, so we already have comments over here. Luke White says it sounds like the Hope County Choir's emo phase. Yeah, I've been making Ben play music from the soundtrack of a game called Wasteland 3. It has some serious bangers.
Well, that song awesome. Made me think of that one dude in Fallout. What did he say? He's like, I don't enjoy killing, but when done righteously, it's just a chore like any other.
Pretty much, yeah. Joshua Graham from the Honest Hearts DLC, and yeah, that's Wasteland 3. It's a great game. It's made by the people who make Wasteland 3 a lot of them were involved with Fallout. Like the original Wasteland game came before Fallout, and then when people left that studio and started the other studio, they did Fallout, and a lot of the themes and the dark humor and everything kind of transferred over. It's a fun game. It's a fun series. In ways, it's more Fallout than Fallout lately.
Yeah, everything in Fallout was great, pretty much, I think.
Yeah, we can't expect God to do all the work. Exactly.
So this week in Clown World, we had more COVID stuff, which seems like it's going to be the weekly COVID update for Clown World.
Honk.
Yeah. Surprisingly, England ended all COVID restrictions.
Yes, I personally think that what they're going to do is they're going to do the old boa constrictor effect. They're going to make a big deal about, oh, yes, we're open. Everybody, hooray, get out in the streets. And then the BBC is going to come out and be like, oh, my God, a spike, a new variant or whatever. And then they're going to lock down. They're going to lock down even harder than they did before. And then they're, a few months down the line, they're going to make a big deal about loosening up, but not as loose as they did this time.
Look how much you screwed up when we gave you guys some freedom. So we obviously can't do that again.
I say, hey, what, mate, this is why we can't have nice things.
You got a license.
Got a license for that freedom, eh, what?
Yeah, they took everything off. Masks. They went from 100 miles per hour to 0 pretty quick.
Yeah.
It'd be like, England's such a nanny state. It'd be like if California did that. It seemed kind of surprising.
Well, there was also some rumblings about kicking Boris Johnson out, and people are finally getting fed up. They're about to take their butter knives and revolt against the state, I think, or something.
I don't think they can get butter knives. I don't. They have flat spoon. I don't know what they use over there. Spoons for everything. I suppose chopsticks are banned.
Yeah.
Narwhal spears. I don't.
Oi, get over here. You want to buy a spork, mate? Simple as.
Other news. Michigan. Speaking of bastions of freedom, we got Michigan, right? Not really. They underreported nursing home deaths, just like old New York did, and they pulled the same stunt New York did. We got all these people with COVID. Let's shove them in nursing homes.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that reasoning was. Why?
I can't. I don't know either. I can imagine their excuse is something like, oh, we have these facilities that have end of life care infrastructure, and we need to keep the regular hospitals open for whatever, so let's just put all of the sick people with a highly contagious respiratory disease in with the most vulnerable population because government.
What if these governors are trying to trim some fat out of their budget and end some Social Security payments or something? Cut their Medicaid payments down by offing a bunch of old people.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Good old Gretchen Whitmer did that one. So we'll see if that busts into. Cuomo got roasted for that. We'll see if Whitmer does.
Yeah, it could be they're trying to trim the fat. It could also be that they, at the early stages, they recognized this for the opportunity for a power grab that it ended up being, and they're just like, oh, this kills old people, and more dead people means we can make it out to be more serious than it is. Yeah.
Well, and it seems kind of nefarious that they would have some sort of. I don't see why. Okay, so I've said before, I'm an elected libertarian. There's chat groups for elected libertarians to get together. That's just us, and I don't see why there's probably not communication channels for these progressive nut job governors that might chat off the record about stuff they want to do. New York cut millions in pension payments. I'm sure they did. Somebody commented over here. I'm sure Michigan probably did the same thing if they killed a bunch of old people. Yeah, so it could certainly be some sort of nefarious plotting, but you would hope not on that front. Maybe if Whitmer gets unpopular enough, the FBI will create another plot to kidnap her. Who knows?
And let this one run its course.
This time it'll be all FBI guys, not. They won't have any patsies in it. I haven't heard anything out of that in a while. Have you?
No, I haven't. Other than I heard Darren Beatty at Revolver News was on Tim Pool, and they kind of segued off into it, discussed it for a little bit, and it was like, of the 20 co-conspirators in the Michigan plot, 12 of them were either federal agents or confidential informants.
That's something.
That is, what is that, 60%?
Do you think they knew the other ones? Like maybe
it's anybody's guess. I mean, but you'd almost have to have one person from every alphabet agency, unbeknownst to the other ones.
kind of wondering who they're all wondering who's the other feds. Maybe this time will be 100. Yeah, there we go. Just like I said, like instead of like 48% or so. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the next Whitmer plot pops up. Biden, what's Biden been up to this week? Held a bomb of a presser.
Yeah, I haven't watched the whole thing, but I've seen some lowlights, and it was, boy, stumbling and muttering and
he just seems so unlikable. I mean, he like that old man who yells at you when you step on his yard, or just not a likable old man, just the old man that you're just like, oh well, that doesn't bother me too much. He'll be dead soon. You know, that type of old man.
Grumpy old bastard. Once you kick the bucket, I'll swim in your pool all I want.
Yeah. And he just kept stepping it. I mean, the big thing to me was he came out and said that he said the 2022 elections might not be legitimate.
Yeah, unless they can get their John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which is just, enshrining cheating and federalization of elections in.
Well, and the thing is, that's what all these Democrats were roasting Trump for, is for saying the 2020 elections weren't legitimate. That's what they were getting after Trump for.
Yeah.
And leading up to the election, Trump was saying, hey, this election might not be legitimate. And then here Biden's doing the exact same thing.
No, it's not like the Democrats, they didn't have double standards. They wouldn't have any standards at all. You can find audio and video clips of Democrats challenging either, somewhat challenging the validity of elections, or outright challenging, in Congress, the way that the Trump people were hoping that the congressional Republicans were going to do on January 6th of last year. Now, you can find audio and video clips of Democrats doing that, going back to Reagan or earlier. Every time the Democrats lose a national election, they make a big fucking deal about it, demand recounts, or say that it was the result of voter suppression, or
the old hanging Chad.
Yeah, some stupid excuse on why their beautiful utopian policies didn't carry the day for them. And, and then as soon as they win, the Republicans say, oh, something might be fishy about this. Oh, you're a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
If we win, everything's above board, and if you win, there's something fishy going on.
Well, and the Voting Rights Advancement Act, or whatever it was, I don't care which party would have been trying to push this forward. Anytime it's a partisan effort to change how people vote, that just stinks.
Yeah, it does. And there has to be some type of a bipartisan solution to this, but they're so entrenched right now. I think that it's, I don't want to give congressional Republicans credit for anything, but I think that they're smart enough to realize that if this gets passed, they will never win a federal level election ever again, unless they resort to the type of dirty, underhanded tactics that they always accuse the Democrats of. And a lot of them don't want to do that. Guys like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and everything, they still have faith in the system. They still want to believe that it can be salvaged, and they don't want to stoop to the level that they, on some level, I think they know that the Democrats do these types of cheating things, and they don't want to get down in the mud. They'd rather die on the hill, on the moral high ground. And the problem with dying on the moral high ground is you still die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and thankfully there were 2 Democrats that realized it was a bunch of, well, I don't know what their Manchin and Sinema's reasonings would be for going against their party on it. I want to say that one of them was probably smart enough to realize that they're probably going to lose the 2022. They're going to get wiped out in 2022, possibly. And if you kill the filibuster right before the Republicans get in there, then they get to do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Yep,
that's exactly what Dan Bongino has been saying for the last 3 or 4 weeks before they kicked him off of YouTube. Was that's another story that we can go into if you want to. But
I didn't really know much about that one. You can hit that one.
Yeah, but he's been saying, he's like, Democrats want to nuke the filibuster, and they want to nuke it right now for this voting rights. He's like, let them. They've cocked things up so bad in the 1 year of Joe Biden's presidency that the midterms are going to be a bloodbath. And he's like, you want to nuke the filibuster? You want to go to a straight majority vote in the Senate? Okay, cool. 2022 comes around. Republicans take the House. Republicans take the Senate. We get a veto-proof majority, maybe even, and it's okay, cool. National reciprocity for concealed carry. National Constitution carry, abolish a half a dozen federal agencies. Like, sky's the limit. He's like, go ahead, nuke the filibuster and see what we do in 2022.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the Republicans have had opportunities in the past to push through an agenda, and they always stop short because they need those wedge issues to campaign on. It's like, well, why didn't they do anything in the Bush years when there was a Republican majority in the House, the Senate, and the presidency? Well, they didn't, ban abortion when it was, even more popular to do so back in the early aughts, because they need abortion around to campaign on. Why are they not going to abolish the ATF? Well, they need something to, shake their fist at and yell. All of these things that they campaign on, they can't get rid of them, because then what? You campaign on your ideas? Perish the thought.
Well, but maybe they don't need those wedge issues anymore because the Democrats have went so far left,
Yeah, it's true.
So I think Bongino's probably right. There are probably some Republicans who are like, oh no, please stop. Don't do that. Don't.
Well, that Thomas Massey and Rand Paul, at least, would definitely do something like that.
Yeah. Well, and so I think those two probably managed to save the Democrats from themselves. And Sinema is kind of a weird case. I mean, she used to be a Green Party, almost communist progressive. And to think that she's considered a centrist, or she's softened up and is a centrist now, that's kind of odd. We got a Republican majority means a 2% deduction in tax and nothing else.
Yeah, here's your token tax cut, peasants. Now back to the fields.
Yeah,
I think that Manchin, Joe Manchin's an old school blue dog Democrat. He's from a very conservative state and a very conservative district.
He probably genuinely understands how dangerous it would be to get rid of that,
right.
and that tells you he probably thinks that they're going to lose a bunch of seats.
Absolutely. He's smart. He knows the calculus, and he knows that they're playing Russian roulette with some of their far left policies. They know that if they can ram this through, then they'll be able to cheat their way to victory in perpetuity. But I think it's both a gamble that he's not willing to take, and he also has enough respect for the institutions that he doesn't want to see it just devolve into it. Just like who could cheat harder.
Yeah. I did some reading on the filibuster rule when it started being popular. I was like, well, where did this come from? It was created by my least favorite president, Woodrow Wilson. back in 1917, because before that, I mean, one guy could shut down legislation just by staying up there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Woodrow Wilson would bring something like that because he wants government to be able to do more. And he made it so you needed a two-thirds majority to end any filibusters.
Right.
So that wasn't good enough because, surprisingly, the Democrats used it to block civil rights. Back in the 50s. So then they dropped it down to a 3/5 vote, and that's where we've been ever since.
Democrats and their 3/5.
Yeah, I thought that was funny when I saw that. That I was hoping you'd pick up on that. They
Yeah. 2/3 of the Senate is too far. How about a 3/5 compromise?
Wink, wink. And I thought it was funny that they were using it to block it was actually being used to try and keep blacks from being able to vote down in the South. They were trying to pass a bunch of stuff. All the old Southern Democrats were. And that's where we're at with it. The old filibuster. And that's been the history.
Yeah, and remember just a few years ago, Chuck Schumer got up and gave a very impassioned defense of the filibuster, which which one was it? I think the guy was it Josh Hawley or maybe one of the newer guys got up and gave it word for word, just read Chuck Schumer's
defense of the filibuster.
Defense of it from like 2016 or 2017 or something, when the Republicans were like toying with the idea of nuking the filibuster. Read it word for word, and everybody was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, this is Chuck Schumer's speech. I'm just reading the transcript verbatim. My what a few years can do to change a person's mind. Now the filibuster is racist, but back then it was a pillar of our democracy."
Well, and before I forget about it, because I think it'd be what's the deal with Dan Bongino before we move on to another thing?
He said that cloth masks were useless, and which is what the CDC director Rochelle Walensky said on CNN. But he's like, yeah, cloth masks are worthless. We've been saying this for a year and a half. Welcome to the party. And they struck him for medical misinformation, and he wrote a very, very salty letter to YouTube when they told him why. And I'll see if I can't pull the picture of it up here. My mom actually took a screenshot of it. So this is from Dan Bongino to YouTube channel strike, somebody named Coco. Dear Coco, nice to meet you. I was sent your email about YouTube's suspension of my channel. If I said I was surprised here, I'd be lying. We knew it was just a matter of time before the tyrannical free speech hating bullshit big tech shithole you work for would try to silence us. I anxiously waited for this moment, however, as I've said on my show many times. Thankfully, I'm one of the investors in Rumble, a video platform that respects free speech. As a matter of fact, I have more than double the number of followers there than on your shit platform. So here's my deal to you, and there will be no negotiation. After your suspension, I will immediately post content questioning why masks have been totally ineffective in stopping this pandemic. I dare you to do something about it. Respectfully kiss my ass, Dan Bongino.
I'm going to guess they're not going to let him back on.
Well, who knows? It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, he's been on his show several times, being like, he's like, ban me, YouTube. I dare you. It's only going to make my company stronger. So yeah,
it's like fucking Obi-Wan getting struck down, huh?
Yep, exactly.
What do we got over here? Democracy's trash. All my homies hate democracy.
Yeah. Now let me just say right now that the phrase "our democracy" is right up there with like the word.
I hate that.
Right up there with like the word "moist" and fiance. It's like I get a palpable, disgusting taste in my mouth when I say any of those words. It's like chewing on something sour when I say any of those things. It's disgusting. Our democracy.
Gotta save our democracy.
Ugh.
Which democracy are you talking about? Because that's not
Yeah.
our government, you dumbass.
when they say our democracy, they really mean it though, but they mean their democracy. It's not ours, it's theirs.
Yeah.
But,
Their majority, or their half plus one that they want to push on everybody else.
yeah.
Did you send that video to me? Speaking of how our democracy kind of sucks, the video where it showed the Chinese first graders learning how to launch mortars.
Yes. I think I shared that yesterday. It's like the Chinese first graders are learning how to use a legitimate mortar at recess, and in America, kids are getting lectured about white privilege and tranny shit. It's like, oh, you had a good run, America.
You said the T word.
Yeah, fuck it.
Facebook could be killing us any second now.
Yeah.
I wish I remember where you sent that. I put it up, but yeah, it just go, and that was a real classroom setting of. It was like a picture book about how white people and white privilege are. I mean, if you want to explore that in college or whatever, or high school level, even fine. But why would you be starting off with first graders?
Right.
Feeding that into their heads.
It's a very complex and nuanced thing. I mean, I personally think it's bullshit. But when you have like a bunch of 5 and 6 year olds sitting down in class and you're lecturing them about how the white people have an unearned advantage in life just because they're white, what that's going to do is it's going to tell the little white kids that they're evil, and it's going to tell the little black kids that they'll never make it, no matter how hard they try. And then they're going to grow up with that. You want to talk about what is it? What's that bullshit term that they're always using for I don't know, but it's like the not institutional or anything like
systemic
that. But it's
racism. Not
even systemic, but it's like the past trauma or something like that. It was like, you want to talk about traumatizing young people into predetermined outcomes. There you go, right there.
Yeah, those kids can't understand the complexities of it, and it was just. I'd rather my kids are being taught to shoot mortars, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at. I don't know. We didn't touch on this. Where what did the Democrats accidentally showed what they think of parents? Did you see that tweet wasn't that from Michigan Democrats? Where they were talking oh boy, I need to find it then. Parents should not have any. They said the tweet said something to the effect of parents should not have any say over what their children are learning in school. The teachers will teach them what society needs them to learn.
And society, what society is.
I remember that was verbatim. We'll teach them what society needs them to learn.
Right. Society in their mind is the same as our democracy. It's their.
We live in a society.
I live in a society. Yep. Oh, in a similar vein, I don't know if you've talked or if you've heard about what California, of course, the stew pot of insanity that it is floating the idea of child swapping.
What?
Or just abolishing the idea.
You need to move this to the nonce thing at the end, or
no, not that. No, this isn't like a wife swapping type of thing. This is like
you never know anymore. I mean, nothing surprises me at this point.
No, this is like white couple has a baby, black couple has a baby, and they just trade babies. Or abolish the idea of parenthood altogether, where it's that whole it takes a village thing cranked up to 11, where it's like, these aren't your kids, they're society's kids.
They're society's kids. These kids were raised in a society.
Yes, it should be the community's responsibility to raise children, not any one pair of parents. Like, what kind of backwards middle-aged thinking are you? And it's like, go fuck yourself.
Okay, I found that tweet. What they tweeted out was not sure where this parents should control what is taught in schools because they are kids thought is originating. Parents do have the option to choose to send their kids to a hand-selected private school at their own expense if that is what they desire. The purpose of a public education in a public school is to teach kids not to teach kids what parents want them to be taught, is to teach them what society needs them to know. The client of the public school is not the parent, but the entire community.
Okay, then stop taking property taxes. Simple as, right?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of dovetails into that. Justin Wayne went viral again for that comment he made last year. You saw that, right? Where they were talking about funding for public schools, and he said he would vote for it if any of the...
Yeah.
What was that? I forget what he said exactly. Do you remember?
He said if anybody here will send, he's like, I will vote down the school choice bill.
Right.
If any of you send your kids to the failing schools in my district. And of course, nobody took him up on that offer. Let's see what we got here. Over here.
That's a privilege thing. I mean, parents, just send them to a private school if you don't like the public school. Oh, sure. Whatever, asshole.
Right? Can I get my property taxes back?
Yeah.
I mean, not that I pay property taxes because I'm a broke motherfucker who rents, but I pay a lot of other taxes, and I imagine that it all just kind of swirls around in one melting pot of misappropriated funds.
Okay, so oh boy, we need to hit some comments here.
Yeah.
What about the very distinguished top hat and cane British man taking hostages?
Yes, I have a sneaking suspicion that Mr. Ramirez there watched the podcast of the Lotus Eaters clip about the totally British man who took some hostages down in Corryville, Texas. Have you heard anything about this, Benjamin?
They were just regular people. They weren't of one specific group that he took them from.
Motive unknown.
Yeah, just went into a synagogue and just grabbed the first people he saw. They happened to be Jewish.
Yeah. Blimey, on vacation to the States, you decided to take some hostages, as you do. Simple as.
That got brushed under quick. I mean, that was in the news for like half a day.
Yep. Yes, it was. And I particularly like the Twitter hot takes of people like, ooh, the Trump Nazis are at it again. The Trump Nazis are at it again. And then it's like, man is a British citizen. And they're like, okay, well, maybe he's not a Trump Nazi, but he's definitely a Nazi of some variety. And it's like Samir Faisal Mohammed. It's like, and it's disgusting. These people, they wake up, they grab their social media, they see some Luke. Type of
when in Rome.
Yeah, right. But these people, they wake up, they grab their phones, they open up their social media, and they see a tragedy. And it's just like the first thought that pops in their heads, like, oh, please be a white guy. Please be a white guy. Please be a Republican. Please be some deranged white guy with a gun who just hates minorities. And then when it turns out to almost always never be, crickets.
Yep. I mean, it was gone quick. And you haven't heard anything since. It's on nothing.
Yeah. Yep. Apparently the guy's motive for it was his sister was a Pakistani neuroscientist who got put on the terror watch list for aiding terrorists, disappeared, popped up in Afghanistan, and started shooting at U.S. and Afghan soldiers, got caught, shot in the stomach, got caught, got extradited to Gitmo, and has been hanging out in Gitmo ever since. So he's like, puts on his monocle and his top hat. He's like, "Oh, let me sister out of they nicked me sister. Get her out of the clink, And
that almost sounds like make a decent movie, honestly. I mean, she was a neurologist or whatever, and became Taliban, and I mean, you got all the makings of a good plot there.
Yeah, it's like Manchurian Candidate, only there's no brainwashing involved.
But we'll recast it as we got to recast this for mainstream Hollywood though. Instead, she's not going to be a neurologist. She's going to be a transsexual hating person from Alabama who finds her way.
Right. Yes. Yes. As long as we're doing crazy like race swaps and whatever, it's like, okay, so we take this Pakistani Muslim and we turn her into an inbred piece of trailer trash from Alabama. She's not going to target a synagogue. She's going to target a historical black university.
There
and
we go.
her motive is going to be not getting her neuroscientist brother out of the jail. It's going to be getting her redneck diesel mechanic brother husband out of jail.
She was
Boom.
not. Wait, she was an endocrinologist working on a new hormone for people transitioning, I think is what we would go with. And coming next year on Disney.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, or the Hallmark Channel.
I mean, I hate that they work. I mean, that's how this stuff gets remade anymore. It seems like I think that's literally what must go on in these writers' rooms is just try to wedge as much progressive shit into anything they make anymore.
Yeah, and they wonder why people aren't going to the movie theaters anymore. Oh, it's COVID. No, it's another virus going around. No,
it's not because the movie sucks and everybody's that is gay now or I mean, I don't mind accurate representation, but it is not that prevalent in society.
No, and I don't mind any of that stuff either. Where like when it makes sense or
The story.
When it makes sense to the story, or when it's just kind of there, but it's not made an issue out of. Like you've seen the TV show Expanse, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Expanse. They handled diversity in that show beautifully. Everybody
polyamorous space anarchist.
Yeah, right.
Outstanding.
Yeah, everybody's just like having sex with each other. Everybody's a different color. There's some gay people there, but their races and their sexuality are not the focal point of their personality or their character development. Whereas a lot of this woke Hollywood shit, it's like, you're the gay character. Like, okay, well, what's my struggle? You're the gay character. That's all the character development that you need. Is like you love the dick. Just take it and run with it. Explore the space. Make it your own.
Yeah. No, The Expanse. They did it great in that show for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know why can't, probably because that's Amazon. You think they would have a bunch of wokus there, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
So what else did we have over here? Wait a minute. Was this a religion of peace person? Yeah.
Certainly not.
His religion is right about women. If you homeschool your kids, this is from the discussion earlier. If you homeschool your kids, they won't be well adjusted to our society. Thank God they won't be.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah, that I mean, that is being more and more a benefit of homeschooling at this point, that they will be maladjusted to what society has become. Homeschooling my kid to be a base Appalachian hill fighter. Luke White with the mortar class in his backyard at homeschooling. Good for you. Your neighbors probably love it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, boy, we keep getting a lot. Wait, do the Alabama woman and her brothers in jail? Can we have some Soggy Bottom Boys in the soundtrack?
Like I don't know about you, but I think every movie needs at least one Soggy Bottoms Boys song in the soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't touch on this earlier. You keep, your point you brought up. Maybe it's been a year now. The only reason we can have the vaccine in its current state is because there's no drugs to treat COVID.
Mm-hmm.
2 more on the market now. So I think we're up to at least 8 drugs that can be used to treat COVID.
Yep, and the EUA is still in effect.
Yep.
Yep.
The interesting thing was I didn't write down the drug name because I couldn't pronounce it, and drug names are bullshit anyways. But it's an anti-inflammatory, and you can get it for $5.50 a dose in India. Any guess on the American cost?
Probably somewhere north of retarded.
Yeah, $2,500 a dose in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was SmithKline Glaxo took out patents in any country they could get them in, which India wasn't one of them. So you can buy it for $5.50. And that sums up what's wrong with
American,
our current. Yeah.
American healthcare subsidizes the rest of the world because they know that they can charge whatever they want here and get it. Mm-hmm. So they charge peanuts in other countries and make us pay through the nose.
Ben,
Luke says they do. Luke says they don't do mortar training; they do land nav in the backyard. just whatever you do, do not promote any of your children to lieutenant. You'll get lost. It'll never be seen again.
They were getting around fine till they hit lieutenant and then just gone.
Yep.
Lost.
Yep.
So, geez, did we hit on everything? I think we got most of it. Yeah, we talked about midterm elect. Yeah, we hit everything we wanted to hit this week.
I've got something that we haven't talked about. Yeah, so it is to a lot less fanfare than it has received in years past, and skipping last year for obvious reasons, of course. This week is SHOT Show in Vegas. All of the big companies are out there putting out wonderful new gadgets and gear. I've seen some very interesting things come out of SHOT Show, and a lot of stuff that's going to be keeping Ian McCollum busy on Forgotten Weapons for years to come.
The only reason I know SHOT Show is going on because of the daily roasting by Spike Cohen of the ATF that pops up in my feed.
Yes.
I don't think they post a single thing that he doesn't light them up on.
No, I think that's Spike's like daily routine is like alarm clock goes off, gets up, stretches, pulls out his phone to roast government agencies.
What was my they posted our booth is open at location blah blah blah, and have any drug cartels been by yet?
Yes, the ATF they weren't satisfied with the online bullying that they received all year, so they wanted to do it in person.
Yeah, I don't. What have you seen that you've liked so far out of SHOT Show? I mean, we're getting a little off topic, but
yeah, SHOT Show is always something that I always enjoy to kind of go through fine-tooth comb. I really wish that I could go because I'd sniff out some interesting things. FN, Fabrique Nationale, has reintroduced the high power. Sort of. The Browning High Power, otherwise known as the Grand Puissance GP35, was invented in 1935. It was the last design of John Browning. He didn't get to finalize it. It was finished up by his protege, Dieudonne Saev. It was really the world's first Wonder 9, a double-stack high-capacity over 10 rounds. It was 13 rounds at the time, and FN continually produced it. It was almost the FAL of the pistol world, like almost like a huge chunk of NATO countries adopted it as their standard sidearm for years and years. Canada is still issuing old high powers from way back in the day. Well, FN discontinued the high power, I think, in 2017 or 2018. They were just too expensive. People weren't buying them, or outdated design, yada, yada, yada. So they discontinued them back then. And you always see somebody in an FN comment section being like, bring the high power back, bring the high power back. Well, last year, Springfield Armory decided that they were going to tool up to make a high power clone. And everybody's like, oh, cool, high power clone. You know, it's only like $670. So, this year at SHOT Show, FN just took a dump on their parade and was like, no, we're bringing the high power back. Sort of. This high power, unlike the Springfield design, which is reverse compatible with a lot of legacy parts, legacy magazines. It's almost a one-for-one clone with a couple of exceptions. The new FN high power has a lot of modernizations and upgrades. The takedown procedure is different. The barrel lockup is different. The magazine is different. This time it's a 17+1 capacity. But it's still got that iconic high power look to it, which is nice. Now the downside is that FN being FN, they're going to charge you $1,269 for a base model. So it's twice as expensive as this. Yeah, it's twice as expensive as the Springfield. It still does not have a rail on the bottom for any types of light or laser, and it does not have an optics cut yet. I'm sure that stuff is coming on down the line.
You can't come to market without that anymore. Everybody does that now.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was the one thing that kind of made me go ooh and ah. But I've got an original high power in my closet, so I don't really need a $1,269 high power.
Well, and I guess I did see another. I have a bizarre willingness to try Keltec products. I saw they had a new 9 also. Mm-hmm. Well, it's P15. Like the lightest 9 on the market now, probably.
Lightest, slimmest, double stack 9mm. It's a 15+1, but it doesn't look any bigger than a SIG 365 XL. It's super light, super small, and they're coming out with an aluminum frame model as well. Did you see that one?
No, I just can't see myself pointing a Keltec at my penis though for concealed carry. Yeah. I mean, I'm brave, but I'm not that. I talk shit about Keltec, but I've bought 4 of their guns over the past 10 years. Some of them better than others.
Right. And the thing about Keltec is like you can dunk on them for their choices in materials and manufacturing, but you can never accuse Keltec of resting on their laurels as far as pushing the envelope. They're always coming up with something wacky.
Well, so is the 14 ounce the aluminum framed one then?
Maybe.
Or
I don't know.
Because that's quite light, even for an aluminum frame.
Yeah. The aluminum frame one actually looks really nice. They're putting checkered wood grips on it, and it looks kind of slick. And then you take a closer look, and it's got like 3 hex head screws holding everything together. It's like,
man, Keltec and their hex heads. I tell you,
hex heads and Phillips head screws. They love Phillips head screws too. It's like you guys just like swing by a Home Depot before work every day.
You've probably heard of M Carbo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's their whole market almost, is selling improvements to Keltecs. Yeah. I mean, these guys have made a company out of improving Keltec's design for aftermarket.
Yeah. I mean, it exists. There's companies out there that their whole shtick is improving guns that shouldn't need improving from the factory. Like Kinetic Development Group. They make aftermarket parts for the SCAR. Aftermarket parts that FN should be making and selling. Good luck getting them to sell you anything for the SCAR if you don't have a .gov email address, which is one of the shittiest things about FN.
Well, and M Carbo, when you put their shit on a Keltec, it takes. I had a PMR 30, and I did all the M Carbo mods on it, and it went from a shitty pistol to, I mean, it ran. Mm-hmm. The only reason I don't still have it is because my old man, he injured his wrist, so he couldn't handle anything with a lot of kick. So I gave him that PMR 30 because, 22 mag, it doesn't really kick much, but it's still got enough oomph to put some holes in shit if you have to. Yeah, plus it's got 30. Plus it's got 30 rounds, so he can really. He can throw enough out there till he hits something.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see other stuff that I've seen.
Oh shit, we kind of turned this into observations here with gun shit. So I guess let's.
Who cares? Keep on rolling. People like it when we talk about guns. Both Beretta and True Velocity and Sig Sauer are going to be releasing civilian models of their next generation squad weapon submissions for the military. SIG is releasing a copy of the SIG MCX Spear in 6.8 by 51, which is their hybrid case design. It's a 6.8 bullet that the Army developed, and they handed it off to these companies, and they're like, put ammo around it and put a gun around the ammo. So the SIG MCX Spear, it's just a supersized version of their MCX, which is itself just a piston-driven AR. If anything comes of the next-gen squad weapon, it's probably going to be adopting the SIG because it is the safest and most boring of the two submissions. It's the closest to an M4 out of the two. The Beretta True Velocity offering, on the other hand, is a bullpup with a composite case that is a polymer case with a steel case head. So it's an interesting design in and of itself.
Man, if SIG gets a squad weapon, they're almost like the official weapon manufacturer of the Army at that point. And they'll have the handgun, the squad weapon.
No, FN still makes the M4s, the 249s, the 240s.
Yeah.
The Scar.
I mean, those are the last two that have. I mean, the last two that have come up for replacement have gone to SIG, haven't they? Because those are the last two they've replaced, right?
The Marine Corps replaced some of their 249s at the infantry squad level with the HK 416. They call it the M27 IAR, but I think that's just kind of a workaround. They want a full fleet, the M27 for everybody, not just the machine gunner role. But yeah, SIG has the handgun. They might get this. They might end up getting the medium machine gun contract, which is also an absolute monster. It's a belt-fed light machine gun in 338 Norma Magnum that weighs less than a 240. It's like... Plains Prepper asked, did I miss the 8.6 blackout talk? No, you did not, because nobody cares about 8.6 blackout. 8.6 blackout requires a 1 in 3 twist barrel. At that point, you're just like running a tap down a hole. That's not rifling. That's threading. But no, seriously, 8.6 blackout. I don't see it taking off the way 300 blackout did. And I think that 8.6 blackout is just it's trying to be 9 by 39. I don't know any other way to say it. You know, it's like I think 8.6 blackout is it's gimmicky, requiring a 1 in 3 twist to get any kind of rifling or any kind of accuracy out of it is just.
What does that type of rifling do to the life of the barrel, I wonder?
I don't know. I mean, hardened steel versus a copper jacket. I don't think it's gonna do too much on the life of the barrel. But at some point, when you start stacking the rifling like that, rather than twisting the bullet, you have to think that at higher velocities, it's just gonna like shove the bullet through and swedge it down and just like peel the jacket off as it goes, which, I mean, for the 8.6 blackout, it's a subsonic bullet, so it's not really going to be that big of a deal. Once you start bumping the velocity up, I imagine it's just going to like rip through the rifling or get stuck. I don't know.
I really like the Spear, but I posit adopt they'll take delivery of the 308 barrels until the new 277 Fury stock gets built up.
Maybe. Yeah, 6.8 by 51 or 277 Sig Fury is the commercial name of that bullet. Let's see. Good luck trying to build a SCAR with Imperial Arms Company upper. Got to have a SCAR to get the small screws and stuff. I like the Fowl's non-reciprocating bolt, unlike the SCAR. Oh yeah. FN released a non-reciprocating charging handle for the SCAR, which is something that a lot of people have asked for. They've been asking for it for years. It should have been an option from Go, but they released the non-reciprocating charging handle model of the SCAR, and wonders never cease. It's not reverse compatible with legacy SCARs. You have to buy a whole brand new gun in order to get that. Like, what is with FN lately? It's like they don't want to do any. They're chasing those .gov contracts, and the government can afford to just, I guess, buy a whole new upper receiver or whatever.
I'm looking at these squad level weapons you were talking about, and you're right. The two other options are really trying to do something different.
Right. Yeah. The bullpup one from True Velocity Beretta, and I'm pretty sure that the case telescopic one has dropped out of contention. It was too
Holy
much.
shit! What is going on with that? There's a lot of moving parts in that thing.
Yeah. Either way, though, I think that if either one of these options get adopted, it's a huge step backwards, because you have to remember that these guns themselves are pretty chunky. They're firing a bullet that they want this 6.8 millimeter projectile, which is like in the 140 to 155 grain weight. They want it to go at least 3,000 feet a second, which is going to bump your recoil up to a near uncontrollable level for somebody who doesn't have the type of training or just the body mass to absorb that recoil. And you're also getting a cartridge that fits in the same envelope as current 7.62. So what if you get somebody who's like 5'4" and 120 pounds wearing an extra small IBA? And you want them to like put 2 across and 4 deep. Now you don't, they can't go prone anymore. Are they going to store their spare ammo in their backpack? Are they going to have a battle belt or something? It's like the Army is taking a look, and they're making the same mistake with this as they did with the M14 and the FAL and all the other battle rifles. They're a specialist's weapon for a sharpshooter or somebody who's big enough to handle it, but a full fleet adoption of this is retarded.
You're right. That Textron, I guess, was making that. I don't even understand what is going on with that weapon after watching a cutaway of it working.
What, the case telescopic one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wacky. Yeah, they've been trying to do case telescopic ammo for a while now. Case telescopic and caseless ammo are one of those things where I don't think the materials technology is not there yet.
I know it. Case telescope. I'm gonna have to go read about that one.
Yeah, Zigzag says he's switching everything over to 30 super carry. That's why it's not 32 super carry. I don't know, but yeah, it's an interesting
little about that a couple weeks ago. That 30 super carry.
Yeah, you get about 20% increased magazine capacity, no perceivable difference in recoil over a 9mm, and it has ballistics almost identical to the 115-ish grain 9mm loadings. So, yeah, why not?
Solution to the 5 person thing is let manlets feel the big boy gun.
Well, when it's your only option, you don't have a choice. That's the point that I'm trying to make. When you're in the military, you don't have a choice of what guns you get. You don't get to go to the arms room and be like, "Yeah, give me the M4 carbine, please." It's like, if they full fleet this 6.8 millimeter, either one, your option is going to be either that gun or something bigger, like a saw type.
Yeah, you don't get a my uncle was in Nam, and he had a story about one of his first runs he did over there. They gave him the grenade launcher, and so he's hiding in the jungle. They're in a firefight, and he shoots that grenade launcher, and every Vietnamese out there starts shooting to his position. So he said next time he got rid of the grenade launcher. So yeah, you don't always get a choice.
No,
I'm sure that was the thing. Let's see what the new guy does. Let's give him the grenade launcher, and when he shoots it, we'll see if he.
Right. Yeah. There was a guy that I worked with in the gun store who's a Vietnam vet, and he was like 5'2", 5'3", very small guy. And when he went through basic training, he trained on an M1 Garand. When he got into Vietnam, he was issued an M14. And when they finally got CAR 15s and M16, he's like, I breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't care what a giant piece of shit the initial M16s and Car 15s were. He's like, I just didn't have to look around that fucking M14 anymore.
Yeah, I've got a Mini 14. They're hefty.
No, M14.
Oh, okay.
M14 is that's a
heavier yet than the
7.62.
Mini 14. Yeah.
Yeah, a 7.62. Yeah, it's a big gun, 21-inch barrel, flash hider that's like 7 feet long on it.
Same platform though, right? As the Mini 14.
Yeah, just bigger. And Mini 14 came later.
Well, they make the Mini 30 too. Would that be equivalent then?
No,
It's
Mini
still
30
bigger
is
than.
Mini 30 is a 7.62 by 39, same round as an AK.
Mm-hmm.
The M14 is 308.
Oh, 308.
Yeah, 7.62 by 51.
That's a lot of oomph to carry around.
Yeah, and that was the general issue rifle back then because the military was
Wooden
retarded.
stock.
Yeah, it was stupid. Yeah, we've been going on for about an hour now.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up here then. Tristan
Yeah.
knows more. Oh, yeah. Luke Weiss says, trust me, I know it's more a jab in the military not being flexible with actually playing to your troops' strengths. Yeah.
Or compensating for their weaknesses. Yes.
It's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in for This Week in Clown World and the SHOT Show update.
Maybe I'll try and get Tim Harmson on again.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be.
Maybe someday we'll have enough to send somebody to SHOT Show.
You have to be in the industry to send somebody to SHOT Show, unfortunately.
Oh, they don't let dealers in anymore?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I had a buddy that went to SHOT Show probably 5 years ago, and he just has his FFL.
Huh. Maybe.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Check us out on roads2liberty.com. Follow us on Instagram. Same thing, roads2liberty. A lot of you are watching us on YouTube. Oh, yes.
Yeah. You're uploading things to Rumble now, right?
Yes. I don't know what our Rumble. I need to make a post about that so people can find us on Rumble.
Right. So if you would be so kind, everybody, to go over to Rumble, maybe find it. You don't have to watch the whole thing again, but leave a like, drop a comment. Do whatever it is with algorithms that bumps us up in the feed.
Yep. And we'll get going there on Rumble. Back next week, we'll have more updates on Clown World. Maybe we'll have some more from SHOT Show that we missed this week.
Yep.